Um,
Oh man.
Speaking of low bars that weren't clear, I think we're ready to move on to our next movie,
Yeah. Yes.
Cocaine Bear, or How to Waste the Best Premise That Inspired by True Events Ever Gave a Writer.
Yes. Yeah. um, yeah. So I decided to watch this on. What did I watch? That? I watched it last night or the night before. It was Tuesday night, I think. Uh, and then I basically just said, "Oh, this is really stupid. It's dumb, and it's not dumb in a good way." And then I think you said you bought it digitally, and then just like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I'll watch it."
yeah. See, I had bought it digitally last year, thinking that one of the nights I would take it over to my friend's place and give it a watch together because it seemed like a fun, goofy premise. It seemed like it would have been a good movie night, but then it just never happened. So I've just been sitting on it digitally for like a year. And then when Daniel said that he was watching, I said, well, so I either get the whole thing spoiled or I drop what I'm doing on Wednesday night and give it a quick watch.
Yeah, yeah. So Cocaine Bear, which if you see on there, inspired by true events, because I guess this actually did happen. They actually played the news broadcast from when the guy crashed the plane and his chute didn't open and he
Yeah. Um, yeah, basically what happened is in the 80s, someone was flying a plane, a small like single engine plane with a bunch of cocaine. And I believe the plane was going down, and so he threw the bags of cocaine over a national forest in Georgia.
right.
Yeah, but he ended up crashing in somebody's yard in Tennessee.
Yeah, and so now the drug lord who's played by Ray Liotta. He sends his son, who's played by Alden Ehrenreich, and he's mourning the loss of his wife, and Ray Liotta's looking after his grandson, and then
Not happy about this
not,
fact.
then not happy about it. Yeah, and he also sends O'Shea Jackson Jr. That's the name of that's the actor who's the son of O'Shea Jackson Sr., aka Ice Cube. So from here on out, I'm just going to call him Ice Cube Jr. Um,
Uh,
so they go to this
Small drink.
small drink, yeah. So they go to this yeah, this national park where all the cocaine was dumped, and all you've also got like other like competing characters and all these different other storylines going. So the other one is you have a nurse who's played by Carrie Russell, and she has a teenage daughter, and her daughter and her friend Henry decide to ditch school so they could go to this national park because she wants to paint this waterfall. Um,
You've also got a police officer who. So your boy Zach over at Comics Matter with your boy Zach often talks about anti-humor, not anti-humor, anti-humor, though it does often function as anti-humor,
yeah,
where the entire like okay, so like I'm going to give an example. A joke that in her run on The Secret Six that Gail Simone would frequently use was, well, Catman has enhanced senses like smell. Well, that means he can smell what you ate for breakfast, and so he would comment on that frequently. That's the joke. Like apparently, canonically in that setting, Batman really likes burritos for some reason.
mhm, yeah,
Um, I feel like all of the character backstories are like that because you have this police officer who this police officer has a gets a dog.
yeah,
The service that he was getting this dog from had promised him a big quote fun dog like a lab, but instead he got this little Maltese dog.
yeah,
That's the joke, is that he has a little Maltese dog.
yeah,
And I kind of expected like, okay, well, they're setting this up. Um, maybe like okay, like what are some weird payoffs you could do with this? Okay, does the cocaine bear become his dog? Like, does the cocaine bear like become his like beloved pet or something? That would be a wild ending.
Yeah.
Uh, does the little Maltese dog pop out at the right minute and save from the cocaine bear, making him realize that he cared about the dog all along? No, neither of these things happen.
No,
The dog has no real payoff.
no, there's no real yeah. Um, and although I should mention our introduction to Cocaine Bear happens when there this Norwegian couple are backpacking through the national park, and then they come across the Cocaine Bear, and then the bear sees the couple and kills the woman, and then the Norwegian guy turns into a sniveling little coward.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that like so with those types of opening like slasher movies have this thing of the first kill, like where you'll quickly set up like if you want to show that Camp Crystal Lake is dangerous again, you have an unrelated couple go out there to make out or something
Right. Yeah.
before the main characters show up.
Yeah.
Um, the weird thing is that it's relatively rare in my experience to have the first kill survivors show up again outside of like maybe an initial scene where it's like uh, uh, in the news today, uh, a couple were attacked by a mysterious man wearing a hockey mask, and
Yeah.
here's a word from the surviving husband.
Yeah.
But no, he just shows up an hour and 20 minutes into the movie or whatever
Yeah.
for one scene
Yeah.
that didn't technically add anything to the movie.
No, it didn't.
Like, no useful information that I could tell was communicated from him to the others.
Yeah. 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 This movie is just basically like a series of mishaps from very stupid people, um, and and they encounter this bear who's high off of cocaine, and they just get even dumber.
Yeah. Um, and I decided to watch the pitch meeting for this movie. He pointed out a lot of the things that I did.
Yeah.
Um, this is an R-rated movie, right? I mean, it's got to be with all the cocaine use,
Oh
just
yeah. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
ignoring the violence.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's R-rated. Yeah.
Um, so like at one point, the cocaine bear falls asleep on top of Alden Ehrenreich after it gets down off of its high,
Hmm.
and like, well, how are we going to get him off? It's a her. How do you know? Because her vagina is on my ear, even though uh, the way that he was laying down, his ear would have been like in the middle of her chest.
Yeah. Yeah. That didn't make any sense to me at all when I heard that. I'm like, wait, where is he? What? Yeah. Ninja says, honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be any form of good, especially when the title is a complete meme. And hey, D Rhino, good to see you.
It, okay, look, I'm gonna say something.
Okay.
Sharknado is a structurally and better written movie than Cocaine Bear.
Ah.
There, I said it. Sure, because Sharknado, although it has been 10 plus years since I've seen it, that movie actually had like character arcs,
Yeah.
payoffs, cool action scenes,
Yeah.
some funny moments.
Yeah.
Sharknado, despite being made for like at a tenth of the budget at most, is a much better movie than Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and well, I haven't seen Sharknado, so I will take your word for it. And yeah, D Rhino says he'd rather watch Sharknado.
Yes, this is just a bunch of it is a bunch of half-formed ideas.
Mhm.
Now, let's see, Elizabeth Banks was the director
Yes,
of Pitch Perfect and Fame and Charlie's Angels Infamy.
yes,
Um, there were some weird trends in this movie I kept noticing. Like you kept having like you'd have a man and a woman talking, and the woman would just be like extremely disrespectful to the guy the whole time. It's like,
yeah,
okay, she's girl bossing. And then she would be punished for it. It's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Like, is there a
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, yeah, except for like Margot Martindale's character, she's the park ranger, and they have a whole thing in there where she's got like the big crush on the local environmentalist, and
yeah,
yeah, and but then God, you talk about stupid, man. God, her character is so stupid.
yeah. Again, like it's on paper. Okay, let me describe a movie to you. Uh, so there's a bunch of cocaine out in the woods. Among the people who find them are two 12-year-olds, including one of them who's a boy who basically wants to act tough by saying, "Oh yeah, I do cocaine on the streets all the time."
Yeah,
You've got a local gang of miscreants. You've got out-of-towners who actually know that the cocaine is there. You've got a dumb, small-time park ranger with more, who's just with who basically has hit her level of incompetence.
yeah,
Um, and police off a big kind of fat, manly police officer with a tiny little Maltese dog. You tell me that there isn't some actual humor to milk from all of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there is, and then they didn't.
and then like the mom is dating the mom who's a nurse is dating the doctor. You never meet the doctor. Like, they
No,
even have
yeah,
paramedics show up at one point. Neither of them is the doctor that she's dating. If you'd
yeah,
had one of them be the doctor that she's dating, and and her daughter hates her because she's dating this doctor and doing all this OT to spend more time with him, then
yeah,
the conflict writes itself there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like the mother-daughter thing is like the first storyline we're introduced to. They do not meet each other until the very last scene because the daughter is missing the whole time. The mother spends so much more time with her best friend than she spends with her mom or her best friend.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just there's so much dumb stuff here.
yeah,
Like we talked about the bear Vagoo bit earlier.
yeah,
The joke where the guy got the little dog.
yeah,
He actually they have a scene where he calls up the adoption agency or whatever, and he says like, "Oh, I was supposed to get a fun dog like a lab." And then I
yeah,
started thinking about it. Okay, how did he end up being given the wrong dog, or like a dog that wasn't his liking?
yeah,
Because like okay, so Daniel, imagine that you call up a dog shelter and you say, "I'm looking for a fun dog like a lab." And they say, "Perfect, we got just the thing for you. You come on down," and they have a Maltese. Are you walking out of there with that Maltese?
I wouldn't. No. Yeah.
Um, if they and if they like guilted you into it because otherwise the poor little thing was being put down, you would not then call up. You would not then call them back up like a week later and then act confused about why you have a Maltese. Okay,
Right.
like you
Yeah.
you would know why you had a Maltese because you're a sucker.
Yeah.
Um, okay, well let's say it was a mail service. Did did they just deliver the dog on his doorstep in a carrier with a "This is your new dog" sign on the side of it and just leave it there until he got home? Because that doesn't seem humane or how any sort of adoption agency would work. That would
Yeah.
be that was like the only circumstance I could really think of where he would be having that conversation the way he was having it.
Yeah. 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 It didn't make any sense at all. And yeah, I don't even think in the 1980s they would have been cruel enough to leave a dog in a carrier right on the front door. Yeah.
Right. Now, like, if it had been like there are so many better angles you could have done. Like,
Yeah.
he never wanted a dog, but his mom is sick, and so he's watching the dog.
Uh-huh.
And then he gets given this assignment to go look into this whole cocaine situation, and so he has to take care of this dog while he's out in the woods. And you can have a scene where this guy who hates dogs is having to give the dog walkies, and he reads his mother's instructions. Oh, little Peppermint is so allergic, and the dog gets into some poison ivy. Like, I am just immediately like my brain is immediately going into all the ways that watching somebody else's dog could make for an interesting scenario. And
Yeah.
but no, like what happens is he has the dog. He trusts the dog to another cop who turns out to be a dirty cop. This
Hmm.
dirty cop is never punished, by the way.
No.
all into the bridge, even though the cop with the dog dies, and his last moments are thinking about how much he likes the dog that he has spent no time with during the movie.
And he was trying to get rid of.
Like, you needed a moment where the dog saved his life or something, or
Yeah.
the dog was or the dog gave him companionship at a moment. Like, what if he was lost in the woods with just this little Maltese dog as his only travel companion, and then he showed up later and the Maltese barked and scared off the cocaine bear from killing him? Then you have the bond. Like,
Yeah.
it's just such. Again, I harp on the dog because it is like the most criminally wasted bit of potential in this movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and also too, like, like I mentioned Ray Liotta's in this movie. This was his last movie, unfortunately. And he's not really in it that much. I mean,
No.
he's in one scene in the first act, and then he shows up again right before the climax. Why? Don't know. You know? And I think it was it might have been Tom over at Midnight's Edge who was like, couldn't they have just had like put like one scene in there where the bear is eating the cocaine and Ray Liotta's screaming at him, "Stop eating my cocaine!"
So, let's get back to the bear for a minute.
Yeah,
The bear is incredibly boring,
she is. Yeah.
and it's weird because okay, so it seems to me that there are a couple of different ways you could play the bear.
Mhm.
One is that like what was the meme when this story got out before they turned it into a movie? It's like, yeah, well, while the bear's heart exploded after 5 minutes, for 5 minutes that bear was the apex predator of the North American continent.
Yeah.
Like, so you could have had the bear have superhuman speed and strength.
Yeah.
Uh, the closest they got, you could have just played the bear straight and just have like it's an animal that is immune to pain and is lacking the normal judgment of bears to stay away from people,
Right. Yeah.
which is kind of close to what they did. But the bear was just alternately like psychopathically murderous or sort of silly.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you could have had like something where like the bear was going through withdrawal and was trying to needed more cocaine. Like,
Yeah, like again, like this feels like something made or this feels like this should have been such an obvious home run, and yet it just completely strikes out.
yeah. Yeah.
It should have been dumb fun, and it was not. It was just dumb.
No, it was just dumb. Yeah. 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 Well, if anyone's curious, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Mm.
I wasted actual money on this.
Yeah. Yeah.